Hello and welcome. This is BRAD, and today we're going to be looking at whole notes again. I did cover how to do whole notes in a previous video. In this video, I'm going to focus more on how to interpret those notes. So let's just get into it. On the screen here, I have a part that a block with four holes in it. This was actually made in a previous video as well, so you can check that out if you want to see how to actually make this part. But we're going to use, well, first we're going to add center marks to all these. So I'll get the center mark tool that's right here. I'm going to put the center mark on each one, just clicking on the outside edge of those holes, and puts a nice little crosshair right there in the center. We can then dimension. So we need to locate the center of each of these holes, how far they are from the side and from the front. And so I'm going to use datum dimensioning. That's my preference. And dimension each of these from the left side. And I've kind of run out of space, so I'm going to just adjust the size of this a little bit. And we'll get that last overall width in there. There we go. So there's all those. And then I also need to dimension from the front edge to the center. Now all these are right on a line, so it seems a little unnecessary and redundant to do that 4 times. So I'm just going to write in TYP, which stands for typical, which means everything is going to be that same distance unless otherwise specified. So in this case, this just means, hey, all these holes are going to be 1 inch from the front because none of them say there's anything else. All right, so now they've all been located, and we'll actually do the hole notes. So we're going to use this hole and thread note tool. I click on that. I'm going to click on the edge, and we get this note. And what you can see on this note is that we have 2 diameters and 2 depths. So this symbol does mean diameter, and the arrow symbol means depth. And we've got 2 sets of those. So you can see we have a small diameter and a larger diameter, or the second measurement here is a larger diameter and a smaller depth. And it should make sense because this is a counterbore hole. And you can see then that it starts with 1 diameter, this bigger diameter here, and then it goes to a narrower diameter. And that wider part has a lesser depth. And so that's what this is. This symbol here, the kind of half rectangle there, that tells us it's a counterbore. This is the diameter of the counterbore, the wider part, and this is the depth of that larger diameter portion. The 2 inches is the total depth of the hole. So that's going to be the distance from the top here all the way down. So what that means is since the total hole is 2 inches deep and the counterbore is half an inch, then the narrow part, the main hole as it's called, the total distance is 2 inches, so this narrower part is 1.5 inches deep plus a half inch of the counterbore. So that's what that hole note tells us. All right, so let's go on to the next hole. And we click on this and we can see now that instead of giving a depth, it has through written. That means that this hole goes all the way through the part. We see this triangle symbol. That means it's a countersink. We can see right there that these edges slope in on that hole, so that's a countersink rather than a counterbore. And once again, we have 2 diameters. This wider diameter, that's the diameter at the top of the countersink. So this wider diameter, you can see it's the bigger number, and that it has an 82-degree angle slope down to the narrow part. So that's how you interpret that note for the countersink. We'll look at just one more here, just to show you one issue that might pop up. And that is here we have just a standard hole, And it actually goes, if we look at the drawing, it goes all the way through, but it gives us a depth of 3 inches. So this is not ideal. It is not obvious, it would not be obvious to someone who looks at this that this hole goes all the way through. So I'm going to hit escape and then double click on this so I can edit this note. And I'm actually just going to delete the symbol and the other reference there and manually type in through, and that'll fix that. So that can happen sometimes depending on how you created that hole, but it's easily fixed. All right, so that is the basics of hole notes. I hope this is helpful. Thank you for watching.